South Africans, what a weekend we've been having. And certainly, I must admit, it got even better when the boxing match started between aka Casper Nyovest on the one corner and Naaksmusiq on the other. And I must add, South Africans, the boxing match lived to expectations. Those that certainly paid 9,000 rand per ticket cannot claim to be disappointed. I was not disappointed myself. One thing that's clear, without a doubt, is that Naaksmusiq became victorious over the match and took the belt of victory and the bragging rights home. But what I want to deal with today and to touch a little bit is on the question of the lawfulness of boxing as a sport in South Africa, and or perhaps the question of whether one can consent to bodily harm. Because one thing is clear, Casper was moord, donnerd, delta blow and given blowouts potentially yesterday. Only the doctors would know the full report of how Casper, wherever he is today, is feeling. But I do not certainly want to be in his shoes. But one thing I must say from the onset is that boxing in South Africa is one of the most highly regulated sports in the country. Obviously, we've got the Boxing Act of 2001, the boxing rules and regulations of, we've got the Boxing South Africa policies and instructions directives. We've got also the Safety at Sports and Recreational Events Act. We've got also the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, and then obviously South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport Act, amongst many other instruments that are dealing with this sports. One thing that's clear that makes boxing lawful in South Africa is the fact that there's no law prohibiting it. Secondly, the intention of the parties that are involved in that sport is not to inflict serious bodily injury to one another. And obviously, one thing that's clear is that there are clear rules that are designed to prevent the said injuries, right? And then lastly, I must indicate that the rules that are set for boxing in South Africa are certainly not against public policy. There is another concept where participation in boxing itself means that one consents to or voluntarily makes an assumption or assumes the risk to bodily injuries being inflicted. And this is very important. The proviso is they must stick to the rules of the game. The question is whether Casper will challenge aka